I'm over here now.
Guy Benson.
It is the happy hour here on the Guy Benson Show on this Thursday in New York. Thank you for tuning in. GuyBensonShow.com. That is our online home. The podcast is free. It's every day. It's on demand. Bonus Benson on the weekends as well. Right there at GuyBensonShow.com or FoxNewsPodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Email us, gbs@fox.com. Follow us on social, Guy Benson Show. I am personally Guy P. Benson. This radio hour brought to you by the Finnish Long Drink. Big fans here. Big fans. Always drink responsibly, please. 21 plus only. And it's thelongdrink.com for more information online, including where they're sold near you. Catch me tonight on Gutfeld, 10 p.m. Eastern Hour, Fox News Channel. Always a blast. It will be this evening, I'm sure, as well. And with all of that out of the way, without any further ado, I now welcome back to this show, in studio, the one and the only Fox News cultural icon and one of my dearest friends, very pretty in pink today.
Thank you.
Kennedy.
Oh, Guy Benson.
Host of the...
It's always a Benson bonus whenever I get to see Bonus Benson.
Kennedy Saves the World podcast. That's at right. Kennedy Nation. I'm just trying to finish all of your accolades here. How are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Very excited for the wedding coming up.
That's right.
A major Fox News personality asked me today, will you be at the wedding? And I said, I sure will.
Yes.
And I won't say who it was except to plug the book Purple State, available everywhere right now. Right, it's a fiction bestseller.
Yeah, I know.
Everything
like
she
at the
touches,
top of the bestseller list.
gold.
And it's such an enjoyable read. It really is. Like, that's the big fear is a colleague asks you to read their book and you're like, ooh, this is a stinker. Her book is fantastic. I was so happy because I don't read fiction. And reading it, like, I couldn't put it down.
It's that good.
Yes, it was great. It was so enjoyable to read.
That's got to be awkward if you're asked to blurb a book and then you read it and hate it. And the quote ends up being, this certainly is a book. Or something like that, with an exclamation point, though, to try to give a sense of excitement around it. That is not the case, is what you're saying, with Purple State, with the anonymous Fox News personality and host who will apparently be at your wedding in an undisclosed location.
Very undisclosed.
I want to talk about your home. We've talked about the Palisades and the fires many times with you, and now it feels like there really is, at least for a moment, this modicum of accountability in the public sphere because of this mayoral election that's underway, the failure of the current mayor, the failure of the city council, and someone who was just recently on this show, Spencer Pratt, at least trying to do something about it and channeling the controlled rage that so many Angelenos feel about the leadership. There was a debate last night, mayoral debate. I want to get your thoughts on some of the sound bites. Let's set it up with this, though. Because Spencer Pratt has been talking, quite rightly, about the Palisades fire as a symptom of a much bigger problem in Los Angeles. He was impacted. His house burned down. His parents' house did as well. Mayor Karen Bass was asked about this in an interview with a left-wing publication, and she was sort of very smirkingly dismissive of it and of him. Cut 20.
Honestly, before this, I had never heard of Spencer Pratt. The thing I am concerned and feel about him is that I feel like he's exploiting the grief of people in the Palisades, and I think that's
right.
Reprehensible. That's the main thing, and I think he is about his own celebrity.
She doesn't know who he is, but what she does know is that he's exploiting the grief of the people in the Palisades, which she says is reprehensible, as if his grief is illegitimate. His house burned down, and she's like, oh, this guy's doing it for his own fame.
Yeah, there are more than 6,300 homes burned down in the Palisades, and they burned down because of her and her lack of leadership, her poor choices, her inattention to some critical aspects of firefighting, including equipment, reservoirs, personnel. And, you know, the people in the Palisades have grief because of her. Like, she created their grief. People are still not only actively grieving, but they're getting more mad by the day because most of the people I've talked to have lost their insurance. And the ones who have insurance, the insurance companies will no longer pay for them to rent a place, which, you know, every policy is like, well, you've got 18 months. And we all assumed, 18 months, we'll be back in our homes. You know, either we'll rebuild or through the remediation process, we'll all rebuild our community.
A year and a half later.
Yeah. And no one, I know one person in my neighborhood who's back in their home. I know a couple that is rebuilding. I know several people that are in various states of remediation. My next door neighbor, they can't get the insurance company to pay for anything. And they have like really good rich people insurance. And, we just did another round of environmental testing at the insurance company's behest. And, we knew we had lead. We knew we had soot and ash. But now it tested off the charts for arsenic.
It sounds, Kennedy, like you're exploiting grief.
Yeah. And he is a champion for people who are voiceless. And not only that, they are demonized somehow as rich people who deserve the pain. And there are so many working class people who used to live in the Palisades who don't anymore because they don't have homes. And Karen Bass never represented them. And for anyone who lives in Los Angeles, this could happen in your town. This could happen to your community. The whole thing could be wiped out in a night.
This then spilled over into the debate on this exact issue. Here's how it sounded in Cut 10.
He's saying several things that are completely inaccurate. First of all, there was one reservoir that was out of commission. He is correct. 1 million years ago, it was for wildfires, but over the last 30, 40 years, it's been for drinking water. He talked about the winds. That is just completely inaccurate. If that were accurate, then the planes would have been able to fly.
So she's an incredible liar. Everyone on their phones, Google it. 40 weather stations in the Pacific Palisades. It never went above 40 miles per hour. She is referencing the Altadena fire.
I have to interrupt you. No name calling,
she just
please.
lied, though.
Yeah, but no name calling.
She called me a liar.
So I guess she does a politician speak for calling him a liar. He says she's a liar, and it's like, no name calling.
He didn't call her a harpy.
Right. He
didn't call her a witch. I would have. I wouldn't have been able to restrain myself on that stage. So let me ask you this. If all the reservoirs were working perfectly, why was there no water coming out of the hydrants? Why did you see firefighters in tears? This is, go ahead and look back at the TV coverage from that night. And the wind that was evident not only in the trees that were essentially blowing sideways and the embers that were being blown from house to house, but also all of the news reporters. It's like even David Muir in his little yellow overcoat that was clipped in the back to give him a nice cinched waistline. They're all like billowing in the wind. And everyone there has said, I've never felt wind like this. And we get Santa Anas in Southern California several times a year.
There was also a question about whether downtown LA is in crisis mode. And Karen Bass.
It's amazing, you guys. It's so affordable. Anyone can move to downtown Los Angeles in a tent.
Cut 12. Listen to how this went down.
But it's in a crisis situation at this point.
Absolutely.
It seems to be going the wrong way.
So let me just tell you that we absolutely cannot. Downtown is the center of our city, and it is an economic engine that absolutely needs to be attended to. We have a strategy that is working. We are working with the downtown business associations. We are increasing public safety there. That's why I did the adaptive reuse ordinance, which allows for the office buildings that are vacant to be converted into housing.
So she agrees absolutely that it is a crisis in the downtown heart of her city. And then in the next breath says that the strategy is working. So she's saying, yes, there's a crisis on my watch. I've been in charge.
It's gotten worse.
I've been in charge, but she's saying the strategy is working. How does that fly?
It doesn't square. She talks about there's a 17% decrease in unhoused people on the street. It's like the percentage of homeless people who live on the street in Los Angeles is astronomical. It's like 70%. So there's a minor drop of something that should never have been that high in the first place. And, she's nominally doing things in downtown LA. She's saying she's doing things. She's looking busy. And if you go, it's like any city that has been overcome with socialist mayors. If you go to certain pockets, it looks almost fine. But then you go to Skid Row, where women are being sexually assaulted, animals are being abused. We did a story on Will Kane a couple weeks ago about the animal abuse. There are homeless people, drug addicts, who are using their animals as living fentanyl strips. They'll give their animals the drugs first, and if they don't die, then they'll take them. And, there are dogs who are being blinded and mutilated. And, it's like I understand sometimes people don't care about other people, but people really care about animals. People really care about dogs. And I hope that story alone shocks people into realizing they cannot continue to vote the way they've been voting.
And then one of the women in charge of the homelessness problem on the city council is this third candidate who's like Mamdani and Brandon Johnson and the woman up in Seattle, Katie Wilson. Yeah. It's that style of politician, socialist, communist, who's the front runner in this race because people hate Karen Bass, understandably. But as I point to Chicago and how Lori Lightfoot was terrible and then it got worse, and it was a bad situation in New York, and then they went with a communist and it's getting worse. Katie Wilson, worse than the predecessor who was not good. You can always get worse in these situations, and it looks like the deep blue electorate of Los Angeles is perhaps moving in the direction of going in a worse direction. And this woman's out there saying, oh, like if there's these types of, zombie homeless people, drug addicts right near schools, it's like, oh, you just walk around them. Like this is her attitude on that sort of thing. And Spencer Pratt went after her. Her name is Nithya Raman. And here's what he said, the case he prosecuted on stage at the debate, cut 13.
The reality is no matter how many beds you give these people, they are on super meth. They are on fentanyl. The DEA statistic says 93% of this is a drug addiction problem. Nithya, Councilwoman Robin's plan for treatment first, I will go below the Harbor Freeway tomorrow with her, and we can find some of these people she's going to offer treatment for. She's going to get stabbed in the neck. These people do not want a bed. They want fentanyl or super meth.
And she's the one who's had a lot of authority over this, saying we just need more progressive policies. We have to go harder left. That's been the problem in L.A.
Yeah, so what do progressive policies mean? What does more of that mean? That means more money. That means more money for
NGOs.
Plans that don't work. Of course, it means NGOs and cronyism, and that breeds corruption. And it's only going to get worse. And, people in Los Angeles look around like, I can't be taxed anymore. Like, I can't afford anything. And, people move to places like the Palisades because the public schools are some of the best in the city because of the parents, in spite of the teachers union and in spite of the Los Angeles Unified School District. But now they don't even have that. So, she's talking about, and we've seen this, we've heard this song from every governor and every mayor. We just need more. We need another ballot measure. We need more money. And people are giving, and they vote for that stuff. And what do they get? They get more homelessness that is metastasized into the type of drug addiction that is treatment resistant, with people on the streets who are violent and out of their minds.
By the way, as a side note, that's not too much of a side note since you referenced the fires again, we've just recently learned that the guy who set them on purpose was a big fan of the CEO, the healthcare CEO murderer alleged in New York City. He idolized that guy who murdered the CEO on the street, was a hardcore left-winger, had personal disappointments about his social life and that sort of thing. So he decided for funsies to go stick it to rich people by burning down their neighborhood, and the immense losses, including loss of life, that resulted from that.
12 people.
This was a leftist who did it, espousing leftist beliefs. That is a new piece of information that I think can't just be quickly skirted past. That is part of a larger pattern. When we come back, there was a simple question about non-citizen voting that was posed to the candidates in Los Angeles. Their answers or non-answers, I think, very revealing. Let's talk about that with Kennedy on the other side.
A fresh perspective on the topics of the day. It's Guy Benson.
Back on the Guy Benson Show Happy Hour, with us in studio is Kennedy. And Kennedy, we're talking about this LA mayoral debate. Finally, on this subject of left-wing madness in places like California, there was a very simple question that was asked by a moderator at the debate of all three candidates on stage. The sort of centrist, moderate Spencer Pratt, who they kept saying is MAGA Republican. That was like their smear.
That's all they got.
That is the move.
That's the only defense that Democrats have.
Right. He's a MAGA Republican, and then you have the failing incumbent and the even farther left-wing council member who wants to replace the incumbent. The question, I will let the audience listen to it, and then the responses. The moderator tried to get a very simple yes or no response, and he did succeed with one of the candidates. He did not with the others. Cut 11.
This is a yes or no question and answer. So there's an LA council member. He wants voters to decide. He is saying that non-citizens, should they be allowed to vote in local elections? Is this a yes or no, Mr. Pratt?
No.
Mayor Bass.
It depends. It's not a yes or no.
Depends on what?
Well, first of all, when you say non-citizens, it doesn't mean they're here illegal. It doesn't mean they're undocumented. They could have green cards. They could be here perfectly legal. And there's a lot of states and cities that do that on very, very local elections. We have to see what the councilman is proposing.
Councilmember Bremen.
Yeah, I would say, again, it does depend. In other places, school boards have non-citizens.
Yes or no?
Non-citizens who vote
Mr. Fred, I have a question for you. You told NBC News.
Okay. Yes or no, should non-American citizens be allowed to vote in our elections? Yes or no? And Spencer Pratt.
Voting is sacred. He said no. That's
he says
the rational
no.
answer.
It's a yes or no binary question. And then the other two go into these word salad, long it depends answers.
I don't know. Like if you have a green card and if you didn't cross over illegally and if you haven't committed child rape, then, well, maybe you should still be able to vote.
And she corrects herself. She says illegal. And then she's like, oh, undocumented. And they point to other jurisdictions that have gone in this direction. So clearly they are very much open to the idea of non-citizen voting. I made this point on America's Newsroom earlier, which is hosted by Bill Hemmer and an undisclosed Fox News personality. And we were talking about this. And I mentioned that one of the jurisdictions that tried to bring in non-citizen voting by fiat is New York City.
Yes.
The City Council said, we're going to do non-citizen voting, and it went to the High Court here in the state of New York, which is dominated by the left. They're all Democratic appointees, if I'm not mistaken. A very left-wing court. They looked at that and threw it out 6-1, like overwhelming, unconstitutional. But this is the move. And conservatives say they want non-citizens to vote, and Democrats say, that's a lie.
Yeah.
And then they try to do it.
That's a lie, and that's racist. Racism.
And it is our policy, actually, and it's a good thing.
Yes, and they know they can't do it in federal elections, so they're going smaller and smaller and smaller to have as much impact as possible.
And then they'll say, well, they're allowed to do it in these local elections, so why are they second-class residents or citizens?
In state elections.
We should go up to the next level. And then if you have some legal voting for non-citizens, it becomes very hard to police, which I sort of suspect might be the whole point of this. But note well, it's a yes or no question, and like a normal human being with a functioning brain, Spencer Pratt said no. And the other ones were like, humana. Well, actually, depends, maybe.
Show me another country where you can vote, ladies. Like, show it to me. Like, where can you as an American citizen go and vote? Show me. I would love to know. I'm all ears, totally open.
Maybe one of the countries where Karen Bass was when the fires broke out, which was not in America at the time. Another issue here. I bet
in Ghana, they do not let non-citizens vote.
I would also guess that you were correct because that is an insane policy that no one has. Kennedy, it is always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for dropping by. The pleasure is mine.
You are the best thing on the radio!